I just got bored walking Park Place.
Okay.
Got a grown man mustache on my face.
Okay, alright.
Wearing gym shoes that need no lace. But I don't care, I'm gonna lace them anyway. Do what I want, despite what you say. I'm bending laws like they made of clay.
Alright now.
I need something to rhyme. Hey. And I got more ice than a frozen lake. Punch you in your eye, you need a frozen steak.
Alright.
And if you Dracula, I'll kill you with a
Okay,
steak.
alright now.
So gangster, everything I do is high stakes.
Oh,
When
yeah.
the last time you heard somebody rhyme with 3 different kinds of steak? Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Ha 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 ha. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Woo woo. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Ha 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 ha. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Woo woo. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Ha 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 ha. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Woo woo. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Ha 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 ha. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Woo woo. Left the jewelry store with more gold rings than Sonic though. Ring gang sick, no honor though. I'm giving life to trees, I'm botanical.
Okay. These lyrics is my life rap game anecdote.
Native Americans are almost extinct. Hashtag sad. They put an extra drink up in my drink. Hashtag swag. I just hashtag my hashtag. Earth exploded, clean it up.
Trash bag, bag.
Hash browns. Hashtag hash browns. Always angry, face in a mad frown.
Okay.
I'm worse than a nightmare. I look like a mad clown. And if I had my own city, it would be called Swag Town. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag,
Population,
hashtag swag.
me.
Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Whoop, whoop. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Whoop, whoop. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Whoop, whoop. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag.
Okay, alright, that's all that.
I gave up walking, now I levitate. But I can't show y'all right now, so y'all gonna have to wait.
Sorry, not sorry.
365 days, birthday cake.
No candles.
And every day I'm hot, like I wake and bake. Too hot. Somebody turn the heat down. Step up and get beat up, then beat down.
Alright.
You an oxymoron, I'm an oxygenius.
But you knew that.
Rhyme scheme dirty, you can't oxy-clean this.
Billy Mays here.
Swag transmitted disease is leaking from my... Hey, do we need this? Yeah. Swag. Interrupt my own song, then come back to keep on flowing.
Alright now.
So hot that I'm cold, and it's snowing.
Alright now.
Pick up my mirror and see the usual. Me staring back at me, looking beautiful.
That's right, man.
Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Ha 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 ha. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Woo, woo. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Ha 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 ha. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Woo, woo. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Ha 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 ha. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Woo, woo. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag. Ha ha ha. Hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag swag, hashtag. Woo, woo.